On your second Monday episode of Locked On Raptors, it's part two of our preseason Locked On Raptors overs, unders, and props spectacular with Sahal Abdi and Vivek Jacob as we dig into some team-related props for this Toronto Raptors team coming into the season. Let's dive into it. It's part number two. Thanks for hanging.
You are Locked On Raptors, your daily Toronto Raptors podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, what's going on? And welcome to another episode of Locked On Raptors, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. It is Monday, October the 23rd. Once again, I think on the previous episode, I said it was Monday, October the 19th, which was wrong. We're recording this on Thursday, October the 19th. So apologies retroactively for the confusion. Either way, I'm your host, Sean Woodley. I've been covering the Toronto Raptors now for 10 seasons on various platforms. You can find all my work over on the website, formerly known as Twitter, at Woodley Sean. You can find the show on Instagram at Locked On Raptors. And of course, you can follow, subscribe to, rate and review the podcast for free wherever you get your podcasts. We are also on Discord. Come hang out. Link in the description is the place to be. Would love to see you in there to be part of our little family we got building around the show. A family that's nearly 230 people strong. It's a great little community, great little spot to come talk Raptors ball, and we'd love to see you. Today's show is brought to you by our friends over at Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. And let's get to it. It's part two of the Locked On Raptors 7th annual over, unders, and props spectacular. 18 props we're running through. We did 9 in the previous episode today. We got 9 more today, more on a team focus than the player focused ones we had earlier. And with me once again are Sahal Abdi and Vivek Jacob. Of course, if you're listening to this on Monday, you'll be able to find the link available to go and make your picks in the link for this podcast. I'll have it in there. You can make your picks in the over-unders and join the legions of Locked On Raptors listeners who will be taking part in the competition. The winner with the most correct picks, plus, the tiebreaker might come into play as well, which we'll get to on today's show. But the winner will go home with 2 pairs of tickets, or 2 tickets, 1 pair of tickets. I'm not made of money. 2 tickets to a game in the 2024-25 season that we will iron out for. And you are competing to take down the crown that is currently held by Jeffrey Richardson, who won the contest on the listener side last year. Hang on to that crown for dear life, Jeffrey. It's someone's coming for you. Maybe it's you. We'll dive in now to our team-focused props and over-unders for the Raptors. Let's dive into the first one here. Who will be the third leading per-game scorer on the Toronto Raptors this coming season? Sahal's losing his mind, so let's go to him first. Sahal, what you got for this one?
Man, it's one of those things, Sean, where I wrote down something, and every time I look at it, I'm less and less confident. So we all know, obviously, number 1 is going to be Pascal Siakam.
Mm-hmm.
It's number 2 and 3, and I know that the question to this is number 3, but number 2 and 3 is so hard. For me, I mean, my thinking going into this was it was going to be Pascal and then OG in a career year. But again, I had him under 18.5 in our last episode. So I have Gary Trent written here.
All right.
But see, because I know we lock it in quickly here, right?
Okay.
I'm going to go Scottie Barnes.
Okay.
Because I think the efficiency is going to knock him up a couple points, maybe even a few points. So I'm gonna go Scottie Barnes, and this might come back to ruin me, but I'm gonna go Scottie Barnes as the third leading scorer for the Raptors.
This question also made me go crazy, and I wrote it, so you're not alone. Big V, what you got here? Third leading scorer on the Raptors.
Yeah, just a lot of debate. I am gonna go with OG Anunoby.
Okay.
I do think that Pascal will finish as the leading scorer. I will take Scottie as the second leading scorer and OG number 3.
So I've had a change of heart since a couple weeks ago when Jamar Hines and I did a little exercise trying to pick the top 3 in each stat for the Raptors. I think I said Gary Trent Jr. number 2 in scoring that day. I'm not going to say Gary Trent Jr. this time around.
There's the hedge.
I think I'm going to go Scottie Barnes. I think I might just be leaning all in. I went very pro Scottie on the first part of this. I think I might be Scotty pilled. I think it's happening, man. I think the leap is going to take place in some way, shape, or form. I don't think it's going to come in the same way that, people have foreseen it as like a point guard or anything like that. He's not Magic Johnson, but I think he's going to find ways to score buckets. And I'm going to go Scottie Barnes as the number 2 leading scorer on this team. I also think that 2, 3, and 4 on this team might be separated by like a point. It's going to be super close.
Wait. As the number 2 or as the number 3 leading scorer?
Sorry, number 3. My bad.
Okay. There we go. All right. All right. You had me a bit scared for a bit. Okay. That's good. Okay.
Pause. Right. Hold on.
We had the same face.
Sean was literally about to be the this is how I win. Just change it up on us.
Behind the scenes. I'm a bad podcast host. It's okay. I originally wrote this as second leading scorer, changed to third leading because I thought it was more interesting. And I was answering the question just now as though it was my original writing of the question of second leading. I'm going to go Gary Trent Jr. as third leading. If you will allow me to do that. I'm very sorry. That. I'm going Pascal, Scotty, Gary, OG is my top 4. I'm a fool. This is the reason I never win this thing. I can't keep my ducks in a row. I'm an idiot. I'm going Gary Trent Jr. Allow me. Is that allowed, Commissioner?
Yeah.
No. It is, yeah.
All right. I was very confused.
The motion has passed.
Perfect.
Sure, yeah.
Gary Trent Jr., third leading scorer on the Toronto Raptors. Let's go to question number 2. The Raptors regular with the best per 100 on-off differential per cleaning the glass. This will be the site we use for this. When I define regular, I mean guy who, a regular when you see him is in there as part of the rotation, plays a lot, doesn't miss a gigantic stretch of the season with injury, all this stuff. So like Christian Koloko for last year wouldn't count for me as a regular, despite having extremely good on-off differentials. The leader on the team last year was Jakob Poeltl at a plus 14.1 on-off differential after the trade. I will go to Vivek first here, Big V. Who will lead the team in terms of on-off point differential per cleaning the glass?
I believe Sahal has a question.
Sahal,
what you got? Yeah.
I just want a little bit of clarification on what we mean by Raptors regular, because is that I mean, if a guy plays 60 games, 50 games, is it how many minutes he starts? Where do we draw the line?
So while I did note Poeltl at plus 14.1 last year as the leader, he did only play like 780 minutes. I prorated that. He would have been a regular the full season had he played the full season. Let's say 1,000 minutes. You have to play 1,000 minutes. Who will be the leader among 1,000-minute players on the Raptors in on-off differential?
Okay.
Big V.
Sorry. Go ahead, Vivek. Yeah.
On that note, I'm going to stick with Yak.
All right.
No, I just think that we kind of saw how important the center position is to this team. I think we're going to see how important Yak is to Darko's system. And he probably had him wrapped in cotton wool through this preseason saying, I need you.
Also, please don't cough on the rest of our players, I think was probably part of it too.
And so, I think he'll be ready to go. And I think he is going to be a very impactful player for the Toronto Raptors this season.
I am not going to go Yak. I think Yak will still be impactful. I think they will still win his minutes pretty comfortably. But I do think that the lineups he's in are not going to be the best Raptors lineups, because you can't underrate the loss of Fred VanVleet from those lineups. Him and Yak were a killer tandem, 96th percentile in terms of on-off differential as a lineups with those two guys in them, 2nd percentile without Fred VanVleet and Jakob Poeltl on the floor. I don't think it's going to be that extreme this year, but I do think the lack of a pull-up shooting threat to play pick and roll with Jakob Poeltl is going to limit his effectiveness just a little bit. His defense obviously is going to be huge, but I think the Raptors are really going to munch in between lineups where Scottie Barnes and Pascal Siakam are playing with a little bit more space, a little bit more room to operate, a little bit more room to run freely. And so I'm going to go Scottie Barnes as leading the team in on-off differential this season. Last year, he was number 3 among regulars behind Yak and Fred at plus 5.5. I think we see the continuation of that as my full-on just like endorsement of the Scottie breakout continues. I guess you got to pick a theme for your over-unders.
I was gonna say, yeah.
Sahal, where are you going with this one?
I was gonna say the consistency is unreal. I love it. I'm gonna go Jakob Poeltl as well. Even though you almost swayed me, Sean, I must admit, with your Scottie Barnes explanation. Yeah, Jakob Poeltl for the exact same reasons. I'm gonna keep this really short because I tend to just go off on tangents sometimes. He's so important to what they do defensively and what they're gonna do offensively as well. I think Darko and the coaching staff. I mean, the coaching staff probably has already fallen in love with him and what they've seen in practice so far. So I'm going to confidently for this one say Jakob Poeltl. But, Sean, I won't be shocked if Scottie's right there with him.
I think Pascal also would be my number 2, by the way. Like, I think both those guys are going to be really good this year. I'm pretty keen on the Scottie Pascal thing. As listeners of this podcast surely know, as I've been banging that drum, as those two are the guys. Everything else is window dressing. Those are the guys. No one listens to me. It's fine. I can't keep my thing straight. Maybe it's best people don't listen to me. We'll come back on the other side, continue on. We have a bunch more team-focused props and over-unders to get to. We will do that in just a sec. But first, got to tell you about our friends over at Game Time, who are the greatest app there is, really, for buying tickets for any sporting event, any concert, theater, comedy, whatever it is you want to go to. Game Time's got the tickets. They got last-minute deals, flash deals, zone deals, all of it right there for you. You got to go check them out. You can see the view from your seat before you buy, so you know exactly what to expect when you arrive as well. You're not going to be sitting there mad that you bought tickets and you're sitting behind a big post like you're at a weird old baseball stadium. No. You're going to have the right sight lines that you want because you've seen them ahead of time. And with zone deals, you pick the section and Game Time picks the seats for an average of an 18% savings. And plus, they have the Game Time guarantee. It's the reason to go to Game Time. It's the reason I love Game Time whenever I'm buying tickets for any sort of event. I've told you before, I've bought tickets for Seattle Storm and Seattle Mariners games on the same weekend, both with Game Time, and saved a ton of scratch. With the Game Time guarantee, you're always going to get the best price because if you find tickets in the same section and row for less, Game Time will credit you with 110% of the difference. Download the Game Time app right now to take the guesswork out of buying tickets. Create an account and use the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. All right, we continue on here with the part 2 of our over-unders and props spectacular. Sahal, Abdi, Vivek, Jacob along as we get into the third of our team-focused over-unders and or props, which is the most important question everybody asks. We ask this every year. It's the one that matters the most, of course. Who leads the team in dunks? Which Raptor has the most dunks at the end of the season? Last year, OG Anunoby had 103 to lead the team. I will go first on this one. I'll say OG as well. Like, OG dunks a lot. He gets steals. He goes and has easy dunks in transition. He does the chin-up dunks underneath the basket on cuts. He throws down lobs from Jakob Poeltl. I think there will be plenty of dunks once again for OG Anunoby. I'm torn between him and Scottie Barnes for this one. Barnes had 83 last year, but OG did the 103 in 10 fewer games than Barnes. I think it's a big gap to make up. So I'm going OG with 103 dunks last year. I think he probably breaks the 100 mark again this year. Sahal, what you got?
Life is all about righting your wrongs. And last year, I'm pretty sure when you asked this question, I said Precious Achiuwa pretty confidently.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, Sean, I'm pretty sure you took OG. Like, it was one of your most confident picks last year. And as soon as we stopped recording, I thought to myself, you know what? Can we go back on one of these? So I'm going to right one of my wrongs. I'm going to go OG this season. Okay. He's going to lead. But I am with you. Scottie, I think, is going to be up there. And I don't know what Jakob Poeltl's dunks maybe translated to a full season with the amount of time he spent with the Raptors, but
you don't
not a lot. Okay, so no. Yeah, so I'm gonna go OG pretty confidently. Then.
Vivek, what you got?
I'm gonna go with OG as well. I think that again, I'm riding over on 18.5 points, so I'm gonna need him to get all the dunks he can. And Scottie is gonna be extremely unselfish and make sure that those fast breaks are leading to other guys getting going, and I think OG is going to be one of them. And I also think the fact that the Raptors are going to be playing more one-on-one defense is going to lend to OG just clamping down, taking the ball off people, and just going down the floor and throwing it down.
That is a very good point. Precious Achiuwa, by the way, last year, just under a dunk a game at 49 dunks in 55 games. So Sahal was so wrong. Unreal. Anyway, just wanted to rub that one in.
Still won.
He won't anyway. Yeah, I don't know what I'm rubbing in. I'm just grasping at straws here. Okay, let's go to the next one here. Number of wins against plus 500 competition. This is a new one that I've come up with for this year. I've set the over-under at 19.5. Last year, the Raptors were 19-30 against teams over 500. The year before, 2021-22, they were 28-22 in games against teams over 500. They were notoriously awesome at beating the really good teams that year. It was great. This year, I'm kind of baking in, I guess, the expectation of 50-ish games. That's kind of seems to be the number you land with that team for games against teams over 500. I will go to you, Sahal, first. What you got? Over under 19.5 wins against the good teams this year.
I'm going to go under.
Under, okay.
And this is where Raptors fans might start hating me because there's going to be a lot of pessimism from me. I don't want to give away too much, but I'm going to go under. For the simple fact that I think the Raptors are going to struggle a bit this season as a team. Maybe I know there's a lot of momentum and a lot of optimism going into the season like there is any other Raptors season, new coaching staff, bigger roles for certain players. But I think they're going to run into some issues with some problems that they didn't necessarily fix coming into this season. So I'm going to go under.
Big V, what you got?
Man, I am going to go over. I think the Raptors are going to be a better team. I don't think they're going to hit quite the highs of, 28 the season before that.
Yeah. Where they're just going on like back-to-backs in Phoenix and Denver and bludgeoning both teams. What a time.
Yeah. But, I could definitely see them finishing something with like a 22-28 record. And that'll be good enough to win this prop bet, but probably not good enough to win a lot of games next season. But I will take the over just slightly.
I'm going to take the over as well. 19-30 is really bad.
It is, yeah.
Last year's team, I'm having a hard time. We'll get into like the win totals and everything. I'm having a hard time with how kind of optimistic I feel because I wasn't feeling that a couple months ago. I think kind of imagining the different looks this team can throw out has really kind of made me feel a little better that they just have more than one way to beat basketball teams. And I think they're going to have some interesting looks to throw at all sorts of teams. And I think that will lead to, again, I don't think they're going to be world beaters or anything like that. But to Vivek's point, a couple extra wins against teams over 500, I think that's certainly on the table. And I also just like, the East kind of stinks. I don't know. Like, and this will be, I think, a recurring theme for me in the next little bit here too. But I feel like the sentiment tilted too far against the Raptors in the offseason. And I probably am part of it, right? Like I still think like the process of the team building is whack. The Pascal Siakam thing is insane. I don't understand how you can go into the season without him having an extension. It doesn't make sense to me. It's bad. Not replacing pull-up three-point shooting that you lost from the roster. Bad. But I do think Darko Rajakovic seems to have people liking their jobs again. And if last season's team underachieved, which I think we could all kind of argue they did, then there's room for them to be a better team and win more games than last year and maybe still not be like incredible. I don't know. I'm kind of going off on a tangent, but I'm going to go the over on this one as well. Let's go to final offensive ranking. Where will the Toronto Raptors finish on offense? We'll go NBA.com's offensive ranking here. Last year, they finished 13th. They were also less than 1 point out of 24th. And so very, very clustered in the middle of the league last year. Over in this case means you think they will be better than 19th. They will finish in the top 19 on defense. Under means you think they will finish worse. I'll go to you, Big V, first. What you got for this one?
Yeah, I am taking the over. I think that,
over.
Yeah. Honestly, I felt like they would probably be like an average, a bit above league average, maybe even close to. I mean, they technically finished 13th last year, so I could see them finishing in that 13 to 16 range again. which is probably why I double checked with you that this was in fact correct in terms of the number that you listed. I think that there is something. I think there's been a general theme in our conversation so far about spacing and this and that, but I do think there are different methods of spacing. And I think Darko seems to understand that and seems to recognize that, hey, we don't have 3-point shooting the way we would like or the way the NBA today kind of demands, but we have other ways of opening things up. And I trust that they'll do enough of that to at least be better than the 20th best offense.
For me, I'm going to go exactly in line with what I did on my episode last week or a couple weeks ago now, predicting the offensive and defensive final standings for the team. I picked them to finish 19th. And I think I'm going to go with that again. I think the reason, I don't think they're going to finish 13th again. I think that was weird. Like they got ballooned by the Yak thing. They lose the Yak Fred pick and roll. I think they have fewer avenues to just like cheat code buckets in the half court. I think their half court offense is going to stink. I feel very good about this. I also think from what we've heard them talk about, from what the defense is going to be, probably more conservative, less kind of gimmicky in terms of manufacturing steals. I think it's just going to trust in its ability to force misses and run off of those misses. And I think they're going to run a buttload. I think they're going to probably be one of the top 3 teams in terms of percentage of possessions in transition. I think they're going to flirt with the 20% mark of, 1/5 of all their possessions being on the run. And I think that's going to lead to a pretty potent transition attack because you have taken out Fred VanVleet, who was probably their worst transition player last year. It's going to be a lot of Fred and Pascal just marauding in the open court, and I can't wait to watch it. I think it's going to be a blast. And so
Scottie and Pascal.
Did I say Fred and Pascal? What did I say? Scottie and Pascal. My bad. I got Fred on the brain, I guess. But I think, we're also recording this late at night. This is not my usual brain functioning time. For anyone who's like, why does Sean seem so weird and dumb today?
That's
Dumber
my
than
fault.
usual.
I take the blame.
It is Big B's fault. Anyway, I think for this one, the half court offense is going to be miserable. The open court offense is going to be awesome. I think it nets out to about 19th. I'll take the slight over, even though I think it's right on the borderline. And I just think, look at the teams below them that are going to jump them. The Suns, they're going to jump them. The Bucks, they're going to jump them. The Thunder, I'd probably guess would jump them. The Clippers, if they're healthy, probably jump them. The Lakers, I think, stand a chance of being a better offensive team. The Pelicans, the Pacers, these are all teams that finished behind the Raptors on offense last year. They're going to slide a little bit. I don't think they slide all the way because, again, that transition is going to be good. But that's kind of where I'm at with this one. I'm taking the over, but just barely. Sahal, what you got?
For all those reasons you just gave, but then also on top of that, the NBA, especially in the West, got a lot better. I mean, I am having trouble, and I know the Raptors are obviously in the East, but just we're looking at the NBA from a totality perspective right now. And I think the Raptors, in terms of this ranking 19.5, I was looking at it like, can they really be a bottom 10 ranked offense? And I think they just did not do enough in the offseason to address their real problems, especially like you said, Sean, in the half court. So I'm going to go under. I think they're going to be in that 18 to 21 range, but I think taking the under simply because I do think if I were to hedge a bet, it's going to be 20, 21, 22, somewhere around there. I just do not think this team has enough shooting. And I think you lost Fred, who, yes, people will look at it from a very surface level and go, this guard was super efficient, super inefficient in terms of his, maybe his shooting style or whatever it was. But just overall, I think people are going to realize Fred meant a lot to this offense and how it ran. But again, it's going to be different. Darko's going to run a different style of offense. So we'll see. Like you said, I'm going to go under. And again, it's going to make things a lot more interesting. Let's do it. Why not?
Yeah. I mean, it matters to have pull-up three-point shooting in the NBA in 2023. I'm sorry. It just does. Yeah. It just is a fact of life. But again, I'm a little more bullish on the offense because I think the transition is going to be just a total delight. Let's go to the final defensive ranking. Last one here before we hit a break. I've set the over-under at 7.5. Last year, they were 11th. They were 6th after the Jakob Poeltl trade. Try to split the difference a little bit here. 7.5. So if you think you're taking the over, that means you think they'll be 7th or better on defense. And if you're taking the under, it'll be 8th or worse. I am taking the over. Those who listen to the show every day know I'm very bullish on this defense. I think it's going to be awesome. I think they're going to finish top 5. And I think it's going to give them a baseline for success that, that defense will be how this team gets it done. Defense and running. I'm going to take the over. I feel pretty good about it. Sahal, what you got?
This is one of those ones, Sean, again, where I was on the fence, but again, I'm going to try my best to keep it short. I'm going to say under.
Okay.
And what I did earlier was I tried to count the amount of the defenses in the NBA that I thought without a shadow of a doubt would have a better ranking than the Raptors. And I counted just around, I think it was 8. So I think the Raptors will be good defensively, but I don't know. I couldn't find my way to say, the Raptors are definitively going to be better than these 8 teams defensively. So I'm going to take the under.
Interesting. Big V, what you got?
Thinking along similar lines, I think the Raptors are going to be improved in terms of how we watch them on the floor. I think that they are going to feel more comfortable playing, primarily one-on-one defense and sort of getting into other rotations from there. But I just think that 7.5 is tough in the first year of a rookie head coach.
That's fair.
And so I will take them slightly outside and go, I guess, under, that they will be worse than that. Yeah.
I'm just bullish on the talent, man. You have an all defense guy in OG. You got Pascal, really good low man. Just kind of, we can go out and guard smaller dudes. Yak's a great rim protector. I'm bullish on Scottie taking a defensive step this season as well. Dennis is a very good point of attack guy. Jalen McDaniel's a very good defender. Precious Achiuwa, the only thing he does is defend really well. Like, I don't know, man. They got some horses. I'm pretty bullish on this defense. So I really look forward to getting this point and telling you both so at the end that I told you so. We'll come back on the other side, round it out with our final 3 over-unders and props to round it all out. Before we do that, however, today's show is brought to you by BetterHelp. Look, therapy is a useful tool for all sorts of people. I know plenty of people who have gotten so much out of therapy. You get to talk out the stuff that's in your head with someone who's there to listen. It's a wonderful thing, and BetterHelp can be the place where you do that. You ever feel like your brain's just kind of getting in its own way? The thing you should be doing that's good for you, but you just can't quite get there. I've had that a lot. I've really struggled with like motivation to exercise, for example, in the past. Therapy helps you figure out what's holding you back so you can work for yourself instead of against yourself and make the decisions you need to that align with your values and keep you going in the right direction. If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist and switch therapists anytime for no additional charge. It's a big deal. If you don't have the right fit, that's not a good thing, but you can switch that match for you anytime you want to get the right therapist for you. Make your brain your friend with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/LockedOnNBA today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/LockedOnNBA. All right, we've reached the home stretch of the Locked On Raptors over, unders, and props spectacular for 2023-24. A reminder again, find the link. We'll share it out all the different places. We'll share it. It'll be in the Discord as well to make your own picks and submit to try to win a pair of tickets to a game next season on me. We got 3 left. Let's get to our third from the last over under. It is regular season wins. 36.5 has been the number at FanDuel. Of course, the Raptors won 41 games last season, and I believe just came in under their under, if I'm not mistaken. They were like a 42-43 over-under last year. They usually hit their over. This is history of the Raptors. They hit their over a lot. They tend to get underrated, I think, in the over-unders generally. 36.5, there's arguments both ways. Sahal, let's go to you first. Over under 36.5 wins for your Toronto Raptors this coming season.
Oh, so you're giving me the possibility of getting dipped into the fire by Raptors fans first. Okay. Let's do it. Let's do it. Why not? Let's do it.
Okay.
Again, it's one of those things where I wrote down something, Sean and Vivek, and I'm having second thoughts. But I wrote down under 36.5 wins. I'm going to stick with it. And
You
it's
by
not
the way, I forgot to
necessarily-
state off the top. You get to guess
Yeah.
the exact win total for a bonus point here as well.
Ooh, guess the exact. So you know what? Then I'm just gonna go. I'm gonna go with. Oh, see, I'm not confident about this, so I'm gonna play it safe and go right underneath. I'm gonna go 36 wins.
36 wins.
Just
Okay.
underneath.
Just
underneath.
under.
And it's
All
not
right.
necessarily people are gonna be, people are gonna go, oh, he's a pessimist. It's not necessarily how I view the Raptors, it's how I view them relative to the rest of this conference and the rest of this league. Like this league is very, very good. I want people to just look at the Eastern Conference and the Western Conference. Western Conference is clearly much, much better, a lot more
Yeah.
talented. It's so tough to pick out 8 playoff teams from the West. Then you look at the East, and you have Milwaukee, Boston, Philly, guaranteed playoffs, whatever it is, what it is.
I
Cleveland's
don't know
almost
if you can
guaranteed
say
a playoff
anything
spot.
is guaranteed about Philly whatsoever at this current juncture, but I get what you're saying.
I think there are 5 guaranteed playoff teams in the East: Milwaukee, Boston, Philly, Cleveland, and people are going to disagree with me here, but I'm going to say Miami. All right.
Okay.
Then you go and you see Toronto Raptors are kind of in a wash with a bunch of other teams, and I just genuinely think some teams are going to take the leap. Atlanta's, I think, going to be a little bit better. Brooklyn's going to be worse. I know their record got carried a bit by KD and Kyrie,
They're gonna
but
stink. The Nets are gonna stink, man.
Pacers are going to be better. Orlando, I think, is going to be a lot better. People will see this season. Detroit, I think, is going to be better. They're going to go from the worst team in the East to right where
The second
that
worst team
Indiana
in the
range,
East.
that Indiana range of 10-11. Yeah, I'm going to go under again. I just
Okay.
think relative to the rest of the East and the entire NBA, it's going to be a tough season for the Raptors, but it won't be a disaster, I think. It's the first year of Darko.
Big V, what you got?
I am taking the over.
Okay. And your win total prediction. Or do you want to build up to that? That's fine too.
Yeah, no, I'm going to take them with about 43 wins.
Okay.
And I think the Raptors, the first reason I'm taking that is because I think the Raptors are incentivized to win because they have a draft pick that is not with them anymore. It's only top 6 protected. So I think they want to be good. And so I think we're going to go through a similar deadline vibe, maybe a trade deadline vibe. And so, yeah, I think those are my reasons. I think the vibes will be enough to kind of get them above what they were last year. And yeah, that's
if
pretty
things
much it.
don't go their way, though, Vivek, can they recoup that first round pick later in the trade deadline? Who knows?
I mean,
they'd have to be really, really bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's also real bottom out potential if everything is a disaster and Pascal gets traded, OG gets traded, and they just kind of start fresh. I don't think that's going to happen, but
and then all our picks go down the drain.
Right. 100%. This really becomes a disaster. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm gonna go over as well. I felt like I was gonna be on the more skeptical end, but I feel like I said earlier, the general vibe on this team is tilted way too far in the other direction. There's still a lot of talent on this roster, and I think Darko Rajakovic stands a chance of deploying that talent in a more sensible way than Nick Nurse did by the end of last year. I think the vibes thing matters a lot. Again, I think the offense is going to be worse. I think the defense is going to give them a really high floor, though. And because of that, I'm taking the over. I'm going to say 42 wins. And I think we're kind of downplaying that the East is going to really suck, man. The Nets, I think, are going to be much worse. I think it's a little early on the Magic. I know Franz and Paolo. What else on that roster gives you belief that they're just going to take some jump this season? None of their guards to me, outside of, I guess, Markelle Fultz, suggest, okay, long-term piece right now.
I love Wendell.
Wendell's great. Wendell's a perfectly cromulent center, but he's not changing your world. And I think it's going to take some more time. I don't think that roster is deep enough in guys who you can really kind of trust to go and win you a bunch of games. I think young teams tend to stink, and they're a young team. I think the Pacers are going to be fun. I also think they're going to be awful on defense. I think it's going to be Miles Turner cleaning up messes from every corner of the floor, and it's going to be fun to watch. But I don't think they're like this shoe-in top-end play-in crust team or anything like that. I think the Bulls are not going to be very good. I think the Hornets are going to be a disaster. I think the Pistons are going to stay awful. I think the Wizards are going to be awful. And that just by virtue of that puts the Raptors kind of back in, at the very least, like the 9th spot, just in terms of where I'm looking now in terms of raw talent. And I think they have a chance to be a little bit better than that if things really come together. This team is also just a couple of years removed from going 48-34 with a not totally dissimilar supporting cast. Obviously the Fred loss is big, but I think the defense is going to be good enough for this team to have a really high floor. I'm going 42 wins. And I feel like it's going to be one of those seasons where the expectations going in are pretty low and not very high. And, just kind of like, it's going to be a whatever season. Those are usually the seasons where things are the most fun. And I think there's a real chance for overachievement for this team this year in a way that I didn't feel like a couple years ago, but thinking more about how this roster fits together and specifically just having 11 NBA players, which it seems like they're going to have. I think that matters quite a bit. So that's where I'm at, over 42 wins. All right. The postseason. Total postseason wins, play-in included here. I've set the over-under at 1.5. They, of course, had 0 last year. Thanks, DR DeRozan. Big V, what you got here for your pick of total postseason wins? Over 1.5 or under?
I'm still going to take the under.
Yep.
I think that it's still going to be tough to come
Me
out of
too,
that
also, I should say. Yeah.
And so, yeah, it'll be more play-in doom, but we shall find out how.
I'm going to take the under as well. Just, I don't think it's like a lock by any means. I think, all you got to do is win 2 play-in games, or you win 1 play-in game and 1 game in a first round, and you're there. It's not like a crazy bar to reach, but I'll take the under as a hedge against my optimism from the last one. Sahal, what do you got here? I'm guessing you're going under.
Yeah, I'm going to stick with the under. I mean, I have the Raptors as a 36-win, 46-loss team. That's probably, in my opinion, if they're sitting with 36 wins, probably sitting at 11th in the East, just right around there. I mean, the 11th seed in the East last year was the Indiana Pacers. They were at 35 wins and 47 losses. So I'm going to go under just to keep the, theme consistent.
We've got our last one here. Season-ending award winners. This is probably not something the Raptors are going to rack up a ton of this year, but between MVP, Rookie of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, 6-man, All Defense, All Rookie, All NBA, Coach of the Year, 0.5 is where I've set the over-under. Do they get totally shut out, or do they get someone with a nod? I'm going to take the over. I'm going to say OG probably makes an all-defense team again. And frankly, I would not be shocked if Gradey Dick, sneaks onto a second team all rookie at some point, by the end of the season, if he's in that conversation. That's where I'm at there. I'm going to take the over. Sahal, what you got for this one?
Difficult one for me, just because I was looking around and thinking to myself, okay, what are the possibilities for the Raptors winning awards? Maybe Pascal Siakam gets an all NBA. Maybe OG Anunoby sneaks in an all defense for the second year in a row. And I looked at it, and the Utah Jazz had 37 wins last year, and Markkanen, I'm pretty sure, was all NBA. And I think Dallas had like 38 or 39 wins, and Luka was there. So, I mean, Luka's Luka, but I'm still gonna go under. I don't know. I just don't think, for me. And again, like I said, I told you guys about 20 minutes ago, it's gonna look like a lot of pessimism from Sahal, but I just don't think the Raptors are gonna get an award this year, unfortunately.
All right. Sahal, the hater, Sahal is going under.
Sorry,
the
OG.
Hater is what they call him.
I like
Big
that.
V, what you got for yours here?
I'm going with the hater.
You are? Okay.
I'm taking the under. I'm looking at it a bit differently in the sense that I do think the 65 game rule for awards is going to have an impact.
Sure.
And so I do think you're going to see key guys make sure they get their 65 games in and get on those teams. And that's where, Some guys might have equivalent seasons or maybe even slightly inferior seasons to, say, an OG and an Anunoby defensively, but they lose out on the popularity contest and stuff like that. And so I think that's going to be more of a factor for why the Raptors miss out.
Yeah, fair enough. I'm going to put a little bug in everyone's ear. Looking at FanDuel right now. Coach of the Year odds. Darko Rajakovic is plus 4,000.
Okay.
That's good odds. Like Mark Daigneault's the favorite at plus 750 right now. The circumstances under which dudes tend to win Coach of the Year, I'm not saying it's going to happen, but like I feel like that is a wildly far off set of odds for Darko, considering who wins Coach of the Year. It's not always the best coach. It's the coach on the team that surprises the most. And I feel like the Raptors come into this season with like expectations around the league on the floor. The Raptors are good and fun. There's totally a Coach of the Year candidacy there for Darko Rajakovic. I don't think he's going to win it, but at plus 4,000, I'm going to make myself a little bet. I don't even think that's the one they're going to get. I think OG is just going to get an all defense and that'll be it. And eventually Dennis Schroeder wins 6 man of the year once they rightfully make him the 6 man. But I'll take it's only 0.5. I'm surprised I'm the only one on the over. How did I become the optimist here? It's wild. What a wild turn of events. We have one last quick thing to get to. It's our tiebreaker, which for this year is going to be total minutes played by Otto Porter Jr. in the 2023-24 season. Total minutes played by Otto Porter Jr. What we're going to do, so we don't have like a thing where we're doing the Price is Right situation, is we are going to hold up our picks written down on a piece of paper for all to see. And this will be the tiebreaker that all the people got to do as well. I'm ready to hold mine up. Mine get
wait.
But total minutes played by Otto Porter Jr. this season. My number. Can you see that? You can't see. I cannot. It's totally blocked up by my light. That's fine. What do you guys got? You hold yours up. I'm not going to change mine. It's on paper, but what's that? 650 for Big V.
What are you at, Sean? Before
mine is 802.
Okay. So I'm at the I kind of wanted this. I'm way at the lowest. Where is it? I don't know if you guys could see it.
300. Okay.
I'm at 300. So
all right. So I'm the optimist again. 802. 802 is the number of minutes Christian Koloko played for the Raptors last year in 58 games. I think that is a pretty reasonable number to shoot for. So that's where I'm at there. Yours was, what was yours again? 650 Big V and 300 for Sahal Abdi. That would be the tiebreaker if it comes down to it. We're so divergent in our picks. I would be shocked if we have a tie at the end of the year, but it's set in stone now, man. We'll let the season take us where it will. We'll do a little check-in at the halfway point of the season as we always do, but that is going to do it for the 7th annual Locked On Raptors Over, Unders, and Prop Spectacular. Sahal, thank you so much for being here. What do you got to promote for the good people out there?
Man, what I will promote is my youth organization that I'm sitting on the founding board of directors for, Play Forever. Give them a check on Instagram, playforever.ca. Give them a check on Twitter. I don't think I've ever promoted them like outright on a podcast before, but this seems like a good opportunity. We help youth all around the greater Toronto area. Vaughan, Markham, Richmond Hill, Aurora, downtown Toronto, all over the place. So check us out. If you like what you see, support us. Thank you.
Everyone, Sahal, you're doing amazing work over there. Go check out Play Forever.
Thank
support you. What they're doing over there. Big V, what you got?
Usual stuff. Raptors. I'll be doing some general NBA stuff at Sportsnet. So you can look forward to that as well. And you can follow me on Twitter, on X, at Vivek M. Jacob.
Hell
yeah. Correction.
You can find me at Woodley Sean on that website. You can find the show on Instagram at Locked On Raptors. You can follow, subscribe to, rate, and review the podcast for free on all your favorite podcast apps and on YouTube. And of course, you can join our Discord server. Again, make sure you get your entries in. 7:30 p.m. Wednesday will be the cutoff. No more after that for over-under submissions. Would love to see all you get your entries in there and see who can pull out the top spot at season's And with that, we will leave it there. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll talk to you again on Tuesday as Joseph Cacharo from The Score is coming along to do some bold predictions for the Raptors season. That should be fun. We'll talk to you then. Thanks so much for hanging. Bye-bye.